Minecraft has a unique and giant world, with lots of lost history and mysteries, so in this video I'll show you some of them, with 20 hidden secrets about Minecraft. In some of the ancient cities, at the front of them there is a chest containing a golden apple, and upon eating this golden apple, it will make a timer start, so if we go in front of the doors down here, they will eventually open up, and I'll show you the redstone behind this. If you notice here, we have a skulk sensor, and it is connected to some redstone, which is connected in this very overly complicated system to a timing circuit and a lot of other circuits, which will eventually make those pistons retract and open up the doors. And I feel like the entire point of this room is to sort of teach players different things about Minecraft. So for instance, right here we have a lectern showing that the lectern's output can power blocks, and there's different redstone rooms with different functions. For instance, this right here is showing that power can go through wool and other solid blocks, but it cannot go through glass. For this secret we have to go back to a very old version, a snapshot 13W41A, and a couple more snapshots after this also had the interesting issue. Basically, you can grow furnaces in this version. Simply summon a pumpkin or melon stem with a value that is over the standard ones. Let's say we do a pumpkin stem of 6, we can see that is a somewhat grown pumpkin stem, almost fully grown, and 7 would be the most grown, but if we have an 8 pumpkin stem, you'll notice a little something there before it pops off, or here it's more valid. We start seeing the strange plus-shaped texture underneath there, and the color changes to green. Well, the pumpkin stems would never grow to this naturally, so of course it does require the commands. You have this strange effect where instead of seeing this as an isolated part of the texture file, we're seeing the next part of the texture file leak over into there. But it's also weird too, because if you put a pumpkin on the side there, you can see the stem does still bend over to there, but it has this massive hitbox because it's overgrown. Basically every Minecraft player knows that the chiseled sandstone sort of has a creeper face hieroglyphic on it, but every single chiseled block in Minecraft has some secrets to it. For instance, the chiseled red sandstone actually has the wither on it. You can see the one face of it there, the other face there, the face in the center, and sort of the ribs. The chiseled black stone has the snout of the piglin on there. The chiseled stone doesn't really have anything on it. The chiseled deep slate sort of has the look of a shulker box or something. I've heard some people say it's meant to look like the Warden, but I can't really see the resemblance. I definitely say it resembles the most a shulker box, or maybe like a knight's helmet. And then there is the chiseled nether bricks, which have the wither skeleton skull on them. You can see that on every side, a very vibrant texture. This is actually one of the least well-known blocks in all of Minecraft. And finally there is the chiseled quartz, which has the guardian eye on the side and sort of some twists and twirls on the top. And this block does seem to resemble something, but I can't quite remember what it is. Even though the Woodland Mansion is definitely one of the biggest structures in all of Minecraft, it doesn't actually have as much loot in it as you would think. There are a couple obvious loot chest locations, however, where is the rest of the loot here? Well, there are some interesting hidden secrets in this building. So for instance, in this room right here, if we go away from this bedroom and actually mine right into this wall, we will come into a secret room that is somewhat protected by this cobblestone here. And inside of here we have a loot chest. This also has somewhat dungeon chest kind of loot in it, but it can have some great treasures in it, and that's not all there is in terms of loot in the Woodland Mansion, because there's a lot of hidden and mysterious places throughout this mansion. In fact, it probably has more secrets than any other part of the entire game. For instance, hidden loot areas like this strange staircase I'm going through right now, where at the end of it we have a chest full of more loot. So definitely always good to be mining through walls and exploring around the Woodland Mansion, and just as the pillagers keep their real chests hidden, YouTube will sometimes hide my videos from people who are not subscribed, and even if you are subscribed without notifications on, it often doesn't make much of a difference. So make sure to subscribe if you haven't already and turn on notifications so that you never miss one of my uploads in the future. Just like if you dig through Woodland Mansion walls, you'll probably never miss any chests there either. Dispensers can't place blocks. They can place shulker boxes, but not any other type of block. So for instance, putting a carved pumpkin in here, it does absolutely nothing. But here's something crazy. If we place down some snow blocks right next to the dispenser and we flick it on, that dispenser can actually summon in a snow golem. And this is actually really awesome because it works with any sort of golem-like mob. So for instance, if we place down the structure for an iron golem and we grab some carved pumpkins and put them in that dispenser and turn it on, we can also summon in a iron golem, and it is still counted as being summoned in by us because we have the advancement of hired help. But to take this secret feature of dispensers to a whole nother level, we can even use it to summon in withers. And so if we place down the entire wither construction, putting the last skull in the dispenser, you could even make a very evil trap for your friends, where they go into their houses and suddenly a wither is automatically spawned. If you've played Minecraft for very long, you probably know about the Desert Temple, featuring a secret room underneath that has TNT in it. And come to think of it, do you know of any other structure in the entire game that generates naturally with TNT? There is one other, which is an incredibly rare room to find in the Woodland Mansion, and that is the fake end portal room. You can see right here we have these stairs leading up to this piece of green wall in the same shape as the end portal, with sort of the fake lava underneath. There's this cobblestone around the room, and that's actually infested cobblestone. The idea behind this room is basically you would look in here, set off the TNT, but there are these ender pearls, so you can ender pearl away in time before you die. However, when the TNT goes off, it lets out all these silverfish, which would then attack the player in a massive swarm, and has a lot of lore attached to it as well, that the Illagers would be trying to recreate the end portal and get themselves into the end dimension. Anvils in Minecraft are great for a lot of different things, but there is a very big secret surrounding them. That is the fact that anvils can delete, that's right, straight up delete items, very similarly to a cactus. If an anvil falls 3 blocks or less, nothing happens, it just pushes the items out of the way. However, if an anvil falls 4 blocks or more, it instantly crushes and deletes any items that are underneath it. Now this may not seem very useful, and it isn't necessarily, but something you could do is have a trap trigger where a player is killed by anvils, and not only are they killed, but once they die, all their items are deleted by the anvil that falls right after the one that killed them as well. As of course anvils definitely hurt the player quite a bit. If the anvil fell on top of you, making you lose all of your items. What's a secret you've discovered in Minecraft before? Be sure to leave it in the comments below, as there's lots of mysterious things that have been found in lots of Minecraft worlds. Piglin bastions are large and mysterious structures in Minecraft, and can often seem to not have enough loot to make them worthwhile, considering the danger of things like the piglin brutes and other mobs in the area. But something that definitely makes them worthwhile is there's often hidden gold in them. Now not always, but oftentimes when you see the chiseled blackstone, it means that there is a secret gold deposit right next to it. I have found this depends on what part of the fortress you're in, but still it's always worth mining underneath any chiseled, polished blackstone you find, because getting a whole bunch of the piglin's gold blocks is always a plus, and that's definitely a big secret inside of Minecraft is the piglin's secret gold. Something you may not know is that you can name any single item in Minecraft in the anvil. Simply put it in there, give it a name, and now you have that named item. If you're in creative mode, the same is true for enchantments. So instead of having enchantments be limited to, let's say, tools and armor that could actually use them, with creative mode you can enchant anything. For instance, we could give protection to the enchanting table. We could literally make an enchanted enchanting table. The texture in our inventory will even then get that enchanted glint look to it, which can definitely be very bizarre. Certain items like the banner don't actually get that enchanted look to them, and none of these when placed down look like that, but it is still an incredibly interesting thing. However, if you're in survival and want to try the same thing, if you put a carved pumpkin in the anvil, you can add Curse of Vanishing or Curse of Binding to it, which does give you the visual of an enchanted block even while in survival mode. Abandoned mineshafts are definitely a very strange and secretive thing in Minecraft, and there is a secret room in every single one of them. That is the room right here. They have different appearances depending where they are. It's sometimes a large square room of dirt, sometimes it's a large square room of stone, or like this, it is a square room of deep slate that is slightly rounded on the top. But more or less, this is the entire place that the abandoned mineshaft generated from. And so the game picks the center of the abandoned mineshaft, has all the tunnels come off of here, and makes this massive network of tunnels that all end up leading back to this one room. And so if you're ever exploring a massive abandoned mineshaft and want to have an effective location to keep exploring it from, I would definitely suggest finding the secret room, making your base here, maybe making a ladder or a scaffolding to the roof, and then you can look around this area, and then you can stay in the secret area and look around the entire structure from a central location. Magma blocks were added in Minecraft 1.10, and a massive amount about the game has changed since then, especially the magma blocks generation. When this item was first added to the game, it only generated in the nether, and so because of that, the texture is not actually accurate to the overworld. I'll show you why. So its texture is not that of hot stone, but of hot netherrack, and you can tell that fairly easily by looking at this block. The rocks on there are pink. the exact same pink color as netherrack is. They really look nothing like stone, and they don't really look like deep slate either. And so although I'm sure we're just supposed to imagine that those rocks are red because they're hot, if you really do inspect that texture, that is absolutely not any overworld stone, and magma blocks do always look a bit out of place in the overworld. However, if we go to the nether, the magma blocks blend right in, giving us a really nice transition between the lava and the netherrack. Magma blocks are definitely best suited for this biome, and they were certainly originally first added to only be in the nether. Sometimes you're just walking through a cave or a dark place, but suddenly you hear something, a cave sound. Now of course these sounds are natural in the game and they happen approximately every 10 minutes if you're underground, it depends a lot. But some of them are a bit more than just some whooshing wind or something to add a little bit of scariness to the game. This sound, as well as Cave 18, resemble the sounds of a mineshaft. For instance, that's the chain of a minecart going down. It's interesting because that is what an abandoned mineshaft would sound like in real life, sort of hinting to the fact that there are abandoned mineshafts. There's also Cave Sound 14, which sounds rather strange, a bit like dial-up internet. What's interesting about that is if you look at the audio spectrograph of that, it has a creeper face in it, and that creeper face is probably what makes those strange sounds. Herobrine is a mysterious character that haunts a Minecraft world, and although this is not actually part of the game as far as we know, there is some interesting facts about what people will say around sightings of Herobrine. Some of the things that people have said you'll see around Herobrine sightings is there will be redstone torches in caves, as well as trees that have no leaves on them. I think the idea would be that whereas most players would be just chopping down a tree, or maybe putting standard torches in a cave, Herobrine would be doing the opposite or evil version of that. But with all these mysteries, there's always a little bit of truth to them, and that's the fact that it is actually possible to find forests with no leaves on the trees, and that's because of forest fires, either caused by the player, lightning strikes, or lava pools. Leaves tend to burn in fires much more than the logs do, and so depending on how it looks, oftentimes you'll have forests like this, where you'll have almost completely untouched trunks of trees, but all the leaves of the trees are gone. Crossbows are quite certainly an interesting weapon in Minecraft, but there's also a secret to them, and that's the fact that once they've been charged, they actually fully hide what's inside of them. They may be saying that's not true, as of course on my hotbar right here I can see that there's a firework in this one, or an arrow in this one, but here's something crazy. I throw it on the ground, the fact that you can see that completely disappears. We now have what looks like 3 completely empty crossbows. Upon picking them up again, we can tell that these have arrows in them, and this one has a firework in it. But it's not just having them float on the ground, it's actually if they're in an item frame as well. So if we put some item frames on this house and place up some of these crossbows, they also completely hide what's inside of them. This is quite interesting, as because of that, there's literally no way to see if the crossbow has something inside of it or not, and this probably does have something to do with the fact that the game is treating this as being inside of an animation. The item having the most secrets of anything in Minecraft is 100% the name tag, and there's a couple of them I'll show right here. The first one is a name tag called Jeb_, the second one is a name tag called Toast, and the third one is a name tag called Johnny. With Jeb_, if we name the sheep that, it will cycle through all the RGB colors, also landing on all the colors of wool that a sheep could possibly have. Also interesting, if you happen upon a rabbit in the overworld and you right click on it with a name tag called Toast, its skin will change to this very rare rabbit. And finally, we have a Vindicator. If it's named Johnny, it'll instantly go and try and kill every single mob that it can find. The only exception to this is baby villagers, although in Bedrock Edition it'll also try and kill baby villagers, so you could certainly use this in farms, as for instance right here it's trying to kill all these standard mobs. But overall, very interesting to see these name tag Easter eggs. If you want to learn 20 name tag secrets, I have an iCard on the screen right now to my video covering that, as there's a lot more to this item than meets the eye. Curing a zombie villager takes quite a bit of time, which can be somewhat annoying, and of course as they're curing there they can also be killed, and so of course the idea would be, is there any way to speed up that curing process? Well, there is one way, and it's incredibly bizarre, and that's having iron bars around the zombie villager. Now it's strange that this does speed up the curing process, and I have literally no idea why. Also, the amount that it affects the curing process is incredibly slight. It doesn't really speed it up much at all. Still, if you want to shave off a couple seconds of the curing time, iron bars will do it. Maybe the idea is that we'd be storing it in sort of like a prison, and so when it's safely secured it would be able to cure quicker because it's sort of in a contained area, but that is what happens. It's an incredibly strange mechanic. Wolves will chase skeletons for their bones, but something you notice here is not only is that wolf chasing, the skeleton is also running. So the skeleton realizes that that wolf is a predator and it's running away from it because it's identified it as a threat. But what makes this relevant? Well, wardens try and target any mob, including skeletons, and they will try and attack them and kill them, like it did right there. Something weird to notice though is look at the skeleton's reaction. The warden is looking at it, it turns aggressive to it, and the skeleton stays entirely still, doesn't care, and is hit by the warden right there. In fact, even if the skeletons by accidentally hit the warden with a bow, they will still not try and kill it. More or less what this shows is that the warden is not natural to the overworld. If it was, mobs would realize that it's a threat, but they don't. They have absolutely no idea that the warden is a threat. Foxes can hold in their mouth and use a lot of different items, some of them being quite interesting. So for instance, you can see right here, this fox has in its mouth a chorus fruit, and you'd assume it can't use it, but it actually can use the chorus fruit. And so if it randomly decides to eat it, as it's doing right now, you can see that fox just teleported because it actually successfully consumed and used the effects of the chorus. But this is not just limited to that item. If the fox has, let's say, a suspicious stew near it, it'll even have that go into its mouth. And quite a crazy secret is that they'll even try and consume and use the suspicious stew, and unfortunately for them, if it's, let's say, a Lily of the Valley suspicious stew, or anyone with a negative effect, they will have that effect be applied to them, and they'll keep the bowl in their mouth. And so it's interesting that the fox can secretly use many more items than you would think. We all know about Ghasts inside of Minecraft. They're annoying and quite dangerous. But did you know that Ghasts might secretly be a type of cat? That's right. Well, obviously they do not really resemble cats. Really more like a ghostly jellyfish. What's interesting is that all the sounds of the Ghast were made by C418's cat. That's right, the cat of the person that made Minecraft's original soundtrack. He was involved in sound design at the time that the Ghast was added, as his cat made all the sounds for the Ghast. Now I'm sure these are pitch shifted quite a bit, but it's interesting to think that the Ghast might actually be a form of cat, as all the sounds that it made came from a cat. And looking at the side of it, I always thought these things on the side of its face were sort of deep scratches, but on second look they could actually be whiskers. So it's hard to say overall, but this mob could really be the giant ghostly head of a cat. I suppose the only question would be how they ended up in the Nether. The Minecraft world has a lot of beautiful and interesting generation to it, but something you may not think of as that interesting, but really is the ruined portal. Well, ruined portals actually have specific variants to them. You may not know this, but if you ever find a jungle ruined portal, you quickly will. As if you look around here, this ruined portal is covered in jungle leaves, also is covered in vines, and these jungle leaves are not part of the standard jungle generation. And upon running the locate command and locating a ruined portal, you can see that there are multiple types of ruined portals. There is the standard ruined portal, the desert one, the jungle one, the mountain one, the nether one, the ocean one, and the swamp one. And they all have specific characteristics for them. This makes the ruined portal the only structure in the game, other than villages, that has biome variants to it. The only other exception to this might be the abandoned mineshaft. Anyway, that is 20 secrets in survival Minecraft. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to press the like button. I will see you in the next one, and have a great day. Goodbye.